Hello you guys. I'm here to make a few videos for you guys giving you a little bit of information about how to make the most of your video profiles. So the first few videos are all going to be about the aesthetics of videos, and then the next grouping will be all about the content of your videos. Are you ready? All right, let's see what tip one is. All right, so tip number one. Weirdly enough, there's stuff in the background of your videos as well as just you being in front. Now that sounds a little silly to talk about, but make sure that as you're making your profile videos that you don't have piles of laundry in the back or your office piles of paper, all the stuff that you haven't yet filed, like make sure that there's nothing strange sticking out of your head whenever you show up, when you get in front of the camera, that there's nothing that looks like it's waving out the top of your head or, making you look like you have moose ears. That stuff happens all the time. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and hop in the frame wherever you're going to be, and then do a couple of seconds of video and then take a look at it. What's actually happening behind you that you may not have paid attention to. Okay, you guys, I'm back with tip number two, all about lighting. Now, lighting is really actually one of the things that I first consider whenever I'm shooting, but in this series, we've made it tip number two. Now, let me give you a couple of really quick things to make your videos better. Things you want to look for in lighting. Do you have sort of a nice even lighting across your face? Some people can deal with heavy shadows on their face, but a lot of people can't. So one of the easiest things to do is just go, wow, do I have nice light all across my face? Or, is my nose casting a shadow down to my cheek? Is the light nice in my eyes? Can you see my eyes? Do they look nice and bright? Or is there shadows making me look like a raccoon? Those are things you can look at really fast. And one of the ways that you can make that happen is by using diffused lighting. Now, diffused lighting is whenever there's not light directly on your face from any single source. So right now, for instance, I actually have a bank of windows that's to my left, and then I've got two small windows that are directly in front of me, but there's not sunlight coming directly in any of those windows. So the light is bouncing around outside and then coming in just as it's bouncing around instead of the sunshine coming directly in there. That is a lot easier to deal with than having direct sunshine. Okay, so then if you're outside, you want to find a nice shady space and you can film there. So instead of filming in the sun, which may seem like it'll get you great light, you may want to find a really nice solid but light shade. So if you find dappled light under a tree, it's sort of difficult to find that sweet spot because you may end up with light here and shadow here. So you want to find sort of a solid shade instead of a dappled shade. Dappled shade is where there's sunlight coming through and you have shade. You can tell if it's dappled when you look on the ground. If the shade is solid, that's good. If the shade is like shade, light, shade, light, shade, light, shade, light, that's going to be a difficult place to film. So diffused natural light is really easy to work with. Now you want to avoid using mixed lighting. Mixed lighting is when you use, for instance, if right now I've got sunlight coming in from outside. I also have a chandelier that's right here that is tungsten light. So it's just normal light bulbs. If I turned that light on right now, what you would see is actually this look of orange falling on me, and then this would turn blue. Right now, it just looks natural, but the color temperature of light changes from outdoors. It's kind of a bluish light. The indoor lighting tends to be either orange, green, or pink. So when you mix those two, it can be kind of ugly. So the easiest way for you to get pretty light is for you to use one source of light at a time. So if you're using tungsten light to light the shot, that's fine, but you want to make sure that that is what you're using to light instead of trying to mix that with sunlight coming in through a window. Okay, so if you have any more questions about that, let me know. But you basically just want to make sure, do you have a nice sort of even looking light across your face? Are you using one kind of light at a time? So either, diffused sunlight or, indoor lighting. And then are you making sure that you are basically the brightest thing in the shot, or at least equally lit with everything else, so that you show up as being the thing that people want to pay attention to. We want them to see you, okay? So on to tip number 3. Okay, so tip number 1, we talked about making sure your background looked good. Tip number 2, we made sure that you actually show up in your video and that you are prettily lit. Now, tip number 3, framing. So where do you show up in the frame? Are you down at the bottom of the frame? Are you all the way at the top of the frame? Are you way over here on one side of the frame or way over here on the other? Now, each one of these things we spend a long time learning about when we're actually doing something like photography school, but you don't need to know all of that. The main thing that you want to make sure of whenever you're shooting videos for yourself is that your eyes are above the halfway point on the camera. Okay, so again, earlier I suggested that you go ahead and take a little bit of film and look at what's happening in the background. For this, the same thing. You want to make sure go ahead and hop in and take a little bit of video and see, where am I in the frame? Are my eyes above the halfway point? Now, if you want to get a little more sophisticated, there's a really great thing called the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is where things naturally grab your attention on the camera and in the frame. So the rule of thirds, I'm going to try and draw where they are, since I'm not on the other side of the camera too. I'll do my best. But the rule of thirds, there's a line, basically you divide the entire frame from top to bottom. You divide it into 3 pieces. So there's a chunk at the top, there's a middle chunk, and then there's a bottom chunk. Okay, and so then there's those 2 lines that go across. So top chunk, middle chunk, bottom chunk. There's a line here and a line here dividing those chunks. Okay, now the same thing from left to right and right to left. Did I even do that? Oh, that's my right. So from right to left or left to right. Okay, again, there's a chunk, and a chunk. And in between those chunks, there's lines. Now what happens when you draw those lines, it becomes this little grid, and you'll have 4 points on that grid where those lines touch. Okay, so you have a top chunk, middle chunk, bottom chunk, side chunk, middle chunk, side chunk. And in between those chunks, there are these lines. Okay, now what happens is the natural place for people to feel comfortable and for things to grab their attention is for them to be in one of these points where the lines between the chunks meet. Okay, now just being on one of those lines can be good enough. So you can put your eyeballs on that line in between the top chunk and the next chunk and kind of have that right there. And that way people naturally want to pay attention to where your eyes are. If you want to get really sophisticated, you can move over and be where those lines meet on this side and this side. You'll be a little bit off to the side on the video, and that's fine when you are sitting at the thirds. If you do that, you just want to make sure that if you're getting boisterous, that you leave room for you to actually move around. So for somebody like me who likes to wave my hands and make noise with my zippers, then I'll just make sure that my eyes are around the top third and call it a day. Welcome back. So far we have talked about looking at the background of your pictures. We have talked about the lighting in your pictures. We've also talked about where to show up in the framing of your pictures, the whole rule of thirds thing. Now the next part in the aesthetics of video is actually you. So your hair, your makeup, your wardrobe. Believe it or not, even though you may just be you standing in front of the camera talking to people, what you're wearing, what your hair looks like, and what your makeup looks like if you're a woman or if you're a man, that actually becomes your hair and makeup and wardrobe, just like someone on film, because to other people, it's how you show up. They are all choices to be made. So instead of it just being like, but that's just how I look, so that's how I'm going to do it, you might want to ask a few questions. You may be moving towards less and less judgment in your life, but as you present your videos to the world, what if you could use other people's judgments for you instead of against you? What a novel concept. So I'll give you a couple of general tips, but one of the things that I would ask is that as you prepare for your videos, as you've made your, your little pre-video to see what your background looks like and where you are in the framing, also go ahead and look and go, wow, okay, if I was looking at this and it wasn't me looking at me, what would I see right now? What is my outfit actually showing up like on camera, because it will be different than in person, and what does my hair look like on camera, and what does my makeup look on camera, because it does change. The colors that a camera can pick up are different than what an eye can pick up. So you may think that you have a lot of makeup on, but then when you see how the camera has actually interpreted it, you may look like you have very little on. So you just want to address that. Your eyes may look great in person, and then you may look and you go, wow, I thought I had a level of mascara on that looked really good, and then you find out it either looks like it's non-existent or you look like a Muppet, right? So you just want to go, wow, how is this actually showing up on camera? So then the other pieces are just general tips. You want to make sure that what you're wearing is clean, that it is ironed. Just because you are on camera doesn't mean the wrinkles will go away. And then, and you want to make sure that, so clean, not wrinkled. And then a lot of times using simplified color schemes. So you may want to just wear, like right now, I'm wearing a color that actually goes pretty well with the background. And then the other piece is I just have black on underneath, keeping two colors. There's no patterns or anything like that going on. The thing about keeping patterns to a minimum, it's not required. You can wear as many patterns as you want. But I like to keep, if I'm shooting another person, if I'm shooting a client, I like for them to be the center of attention instead of their clothes being the center of attention. So when you just keep everything really simple, you get to be the interesting thing in the video, not your clothes. Now, again, if you are talking about fashion, or if that's part of what you're talking about, then by all means, snazz it up, make it fun for you. Okay, so everything has, everything has rules. There's rules, and then there's all sorts of reasons to break them. It doesn't necessarily matter whether you keep them or break them. They just exist because there are general guidelines to make videos better for most people. Okay, so you may or may not fit into that category. Now, things that I look at as far as how you show up to clients. If you are saying, if you're saying that you would like to work with really high-end business people, but you show up on screen wearing a ripped up t-shirt, what does that create? Does it create more for you? Does it create less for you? If you're saying that you want to work with surfers and then you show up in a three-piece business suit, does that work? Does it not work? You want to ask questions, not make assumptions about any of it. It might work to show up to high-end business clientele wearing a ripped up t-shirt. I'm not sure what you're trying to create with that, right? So you just want to ask, what will this create? If I show up in this, what will my business be like in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years? If I wear something different, what will my business be like in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years? Again, just use the tools of access for you. Use your videos for you instead of against you. Use other people's judgments for you instead of against you, okay? So we've covered basically keep it clean, make sure that you don't have on wrinkly stuff, keep your color palette simple, and keep your patterns to a minimum. Generally, well-fitted clothes work much better than baggy clothes. Again, use that however you like, but a lot of times if you have something tailored on, it shows up better on camera, and it also shows off your figure better. Even if you think you look better in baggy stuff, if you feel like you're trying to hide your figure, you can do a few things like wear a fitted jacket with a different color underneath. This is one of my favorite tricks. So you can wear a different color over top and a darker color, or either a darker color on top and a bright color in the middle, or something like that. And what happens is you create a slimming line down the middle while still being able to keep something nice and fitted on. So if you're, worried about muffin top or something like that, or feel kind of chunky, you can do things to sort of camouflage that on camera, or just make you feel snazzy. Like, I always look for, what does this feel like on my body? What does my body feel like? What do I feel like? Do I feel snazzy? Do I feel sexy? Do I feel happy? That shows up as much as having the perfect outfit on. So if you have the perfect outfit on, but your body feels terrible, you're unhappy, and you've got slumped shoulders because you hate being in it, please look again. What will this create? What will having this sensation in my body, what will having this sensation on camera create in my life, in my business, in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? If I changed right now, what would my life be like in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? I always choose energetically over what should work, and I oftentimes still use what should work as a way of beginning if I don't have anywhere else to begin, or if I'm concerned about something. You can start with the rules and then see if that actually works for you. If it does, great. If it doesn't, choose something else. Okay? Hello, you guys, we're back. So we've talked so far about the background. We've talked about lighting. We've talked about where you are in the frame in the video, and we've talked about what you show up wearing, hair, makeup, and clothing. So the next piece is one of the first things that people always ask me about, and that's the technical part of making videos. So like the kind of camera you have, the kind of sound you use. The interesting part about that is if you actually use the first stuff that I've given you already, really looking at the lighting, looking at what you're wearing, looking at what's in the background, and where you are in the framing, that will make your video a lot better, a lot faster than having a really nice camera. Now, that being said, a really nice camera is really nice to have. I'm filming right now on a Canon 5D Mark II. So for a while they made videos on that. They've moved past that now, but they've also made movies on iPhones. Believe it or not, when the first iPhone 5 came out, they made part of, I think, a Spider-Man trailer using an iPhone. So it isn't the equipment you have, it is actually how you use it. You've heard it before, I know. It's not the equipment, it's how you use it. In this case, it's definitely actually true. And so you can use your iPhone to film the things that you'll want, or whatever your, if you have another form of camera phone or whatever. I just happen to know that the iPhones are really nice quality. There are some phones that are even better quality, but I'm familiar with the iPhone. So what you want to have in order to make that work for you is you probably are going to want to have a little tripod for it. I have a little GorillaPod, which basically has these little legs that you can clamp on things, and then it holds the video, or it holds the camera, it holds it still so it doesn't move all over the place. Now, you may have seen Dane's Tour of Consciousness videos that are usually quite beautiful. He hand holds those. So do whatever works for you. But what I just wanted to let you know is that you can use anything when you've taken the other tips into account. It will make all your videos more beautiful regardless of what you're using. No matter what you're using, the one thing that you will want to take into consideration is actually sound. Now, how am I doing the sound for this video? For this video, what I'm actually doing, I was going to show you videotaping on an iPhone on this film, but then I decided to do sound with my iPhone. So what I've done is there's a little lavalier mic right here that I've now just tapped and made a noise. And I have it plugged into my iPhone. And so my iPhone is recording just on voice memos. I believe that is an app that just comes with your phone, but it's called Voice Memos. And so I open that up and I turn that on, and I have bought this it's an inexpensive lavalier mic that I got from Amazon.com. And I have that plugged into my phone, and it's reading through, like I said, voice memos. And so it's recording now as my video is recording. I've done that I don't have Sennheisers. We use Sennheiser mics in classes all the time. Blossom uses those with her videos, and you can do that. It's a little bit more expensive way if you haven't yet invested in camera equipment or whatever. You can do it this way and get the sound done, or you can go ahead and invest in something like that, so wireless mics, in order to get your sound from you to the camera. Now what I'll do, since I'm recording it separate, is I'll actually drag the video in and the sound in separately. I'll replace the sound on the camera with sound from my phone. So that's a whole nother thing, but it's not that hard to do. It's actually really easy, and it gives me the ability to have really good sound without staying close to the camera, because otherwise I would just plug this into the camera. That's another possibility. You can plug your mic directly into the camera. If this line isn't long enough, you can basically get an extension and run that straight to the camera. That's another really easy way, and that way you don't have to worry about the technicalities of having separate audio from your camera. So those are a couple of different ways. Lavalier mic with an extension to your camera, or lavalier mic to another recording device. You don't have to use your phone. You could also just use a little recorder. So what else with sound? Sound is something that you will notice whenever it's bad, or whether it's good. Now, if I was actually filming directly to my iPhone, which I also do, what I have started doing, because I really like filming directly to something called Capture. It's YouTube Capture, so it hooks your YouTube account directly to an app on your phone. So I just turn on YouTube Capture, and then I just stay connected with the lavalier mic into that app. And so I record video and sound at the same time. All my photography professors, whenever I was in school, would talk about the best camera is the one that you have with you. Thank you so much for having joined me for this series of videos. I hope it makes it easy for you to make videos that are beautiful for your profiles. And if you have any questions, let me know.